Hello, friends and neighbors. Welcome back.
Howdy.
I'm Dr. Ken Berry, a family physician, and this is my beautiful wife, Neisha Berry, registered nurse, certified breastfeeding consultant, and health coach. For the next hour, if we don't have a tornado,
And that's very serious.
we'll be hanging out with you, answering your questions about a proper human diet, about nutrition, about health, medical conditions, medications. Keep in mind, although I am a doctor, this evening I am not your doctor. This is not medical advice. It also says that down in the show notes, so don't get froggy with your attorney.
We just got back. We've been off of Monday Night Live for a few weeks. We have been traveling. We went to the PHC conference in London. It's actually in Croydon, which is outside of London, like an hour outside of London. There's a lot of amazing speakers, a lot of amazing people. If we met you, say hi in the comments, because we met some really cool people.
And if you didn't come over and say hi to us, that's your fault, not our fault, because we're very outgoing, gregarious people, at least at conferences. In real life, we're both kind of introverted.
Right.
But at the conference, we're like, hey, come say hi and take an Elsie. So if you didn't do that,
we were kind of jet lagged because we got there the day before. So we were still adjusting, but we were trying to be on our game anyways.
Here's one of our coaches in our private group.
Alyssa.
Coach Alyssa, hello. Also, she is a YouTube moderator. We have several moderators watching the comments, so be nice. You can disagree with me, but do so nicely. If they have a blue wrench by their name, they are moderators and also are certified coaches. And so they may answer some of your questions in the comments.
Pay attention, because they're doing this out of the kindness of their hearts.
And they know what's up. All right, question from Nav. Recently saw a video of a man eating mainly McDonald's beef patties for 2 months straight and being perfectly fine after. How often is it okay to eat McDonald's beef patties? So if you're talking about the quarter-pound patties, we know carnivores who ate nothing but McDonald's quarter-pound patties for years. Yeah. And they did just fine. There's nothing bad or unhealthy about 100% USDA ground beef, salt, and pepper. That's what's in a McDonald's quarter-pound patty. Now, the Big Mac patties, I don't know how you make beef the thickness of a postage stamp.
So
I'm not
thin.
sure how
that's
nothing there. Physically possible. There may be some additives in that to get it to stick together, but quarter-pound patties are literally beef, salt, and water. This also goes for Wendy's, Burger King, Five Guys, Whataburger,
In-N-Out, I think.
In-N-Out. Now, some Sonic burgers actually have mushrooms added, or at least they did in the past.
You can find all this by researching it. Now, all this to say, when you're out and about, you are at the mercy of whatever restaurant you're at. You're choosing to go there and order off their menu. You can't control everything. So, take your wins where you can, do the best you can when you're in those type of situations, and just, when you get home, then you can eat your perfect ground beef cooked in beef tallow or bacon grease, just like you normally do.
Yep.
You have a bug in your eye.
I
have to get this.
Thank you very much.
No, I didn't get it yet.
I've been out in the pasture today. There's no telling what's in my eye.
He did take a shower.
I did, but I didn't wash my eyeballs. Now, here's a good question. I get this a lot. Now, I think we need to discuss this. Timothy says, is there a directory of doctors who promote keto carnivore diets? I'm looking for a family doctor in Alabama. So I have a YouTube video about how to find a keto-friendly doctor near you, and it's got some databases you can put your zip code in. But let's talk about why you think you need a keto-friendly or a carnivore-friendly doctor. Because I think we need to discuss this. A lot of people think that's mandatory.
I mean, it is helpful.
It's helpful. It's nice. But is it necessary? No. Remember back when you were eating the standard American crap diet? Did you search out a doctor who was standard American crap diet friendly? No. What about if you were an alcoholic and you just lived on Jack Daniels? Would you search out an alcohol-friendly doctor? No. You want a good doctor regardless of what diet you're eating. If you don't want to tell your doctor that you're eating keto or carnivore, you don't have to. Just say, I'm eating a sugar-free, low-carbohydrate diet full of real, natural, whole foods, no processed foods.
Here's how I see it. Doctors, not all doctors, but a lot of doctors have been manipulating you for years to eat the standard American diet or plant-based or whatever
or Mediterranean,
the guidelines say, right? So just turnabout fair play. You're going to manipulate them into believing that you're eating. And when you are eating an appropriate diet, right?
It's a proper human diet.
It's whatever. So just view it as that to get them to do what you need them to do, which is pay attention to your symptoms.
Yep.
Do, present them with research that supports, maybe if you were wanting to come off of your statin or your cholesterol is a little elevated, those type of things. But if I will say, me and Dr. Perry have discussed this at length about forming an alliance of providers who are approved. They would have to go through a process because a lot of doctors would put themselves on that list and actually not support.
Put themselves on any list just to get patients.
Yeah. Approved that truly do support keto, have done the research into the LDL and lean mass hyper responders, and are really familiar with the things that people who adhere to a proper human diet.
Yep. And we may come up with something like that in the future.
I would love to.
Yeah, we're working on that. But in the meantime, you don't have to tell your doctor, just say, hey, I'm eating a proper human diet. Okay. And now most doctors are going to say, well, now what does that entail? Or depending on the doctor, they'll say, well, what's that? Okay. And then you're going to say, well, it's a natural diet. It's sugar-free. It's gluten-free. There's no ultra processed food whatsoever. It's just real whole wood ingredient foods. It's a proper human diet. And any doctor, when you describe it that way, they're going to go, oh, okay, that sounds good. Okay. Whether you're keto, ketovore, or carnivore, everything I just said is true. Then you can get down to the business of them actually being your doctor.
And the more evidence you present, if you're keeping up with your blood pressures, if you're keeping up with your blood sugars, if you're keeping up with your symptoms, and you're like, look how much I've improved eating this whole food diet, it's going to be hard for them to argue with that anyway.
Absolutely. When they see your progress and your results, that's going to be their answer. And then you can teach them more about a proper human diet. Also, Nav, thoughts on doing line diet instead of carnivore, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs? Would it make a big difference in helping with health issues? My current belief about the line diet is that it is a powerful dietary intervention for some people. If you have any autoimmune conditions, if you are super sensitive to a long list of foods, then you may need to do 90 days of a line diet. And then you can start to experiment. Neisha's got some great information on her channel about N=1 experiments and elimination diets. But that's the lion diet is the ultimate elimination diet. It is the meat of ruminants only. So beef, sheep, and goat, and venison. That's it. Salt and water. And so not everybody has to do that. I think so for some people, carnivore is just as good. I think for some people, keto is just as good.
It really depends on your health issues and your health goals. And this is where health coaches come in. If you don't have a good health coach, there's some out there. We have some in the group. We're working on bringing even more in because doctors are great. And I know you guys really want a keto doctor. But if you have a good health coach that can teach you how to advocate for yourself and present you with good evidence-based studies and give you good guidance and really help you hone in on what your goals are, that's going to help you so much. So don't jump straight to needing a provider. You might just need a really good health coach.
Absolutely. I love that idea. Now, if you haven't already done so, please share this video on your favorite social media. That's how we reach new people who are severely obese, who have severe type 2 diabetes, severe hypertension, severe fatty liver. They don't know what you know by listening to our live Q&As, but the only way they're ever going to discover it is if you share this video, and you can hit the thumbs up or the heart while you're at it. Now, here's a good question. Where can I find vitamin P? Day 82. So first of all, what is vitamin P? We kid around about this sometimes.
Vitamin P is patience, which, listen, we speak from experience when we say this. Patience is hard. It's a virtue for a reason. And we really try to work with our clients and our members in the community to back them up. I think the number one thing to keep your vitamin P up is support. So if you have friends that are doing this with you, or you follow creators on Instagram or YouTube, or you just feel like you're not alone and that, other people are struggling too, don't follow perfect people. Okay. First of all, they're not. I can promise you.
They're lying.
They're lying. They're not perfect. And understand that it doesn't look like we're going, it's all, your weight loss goes like this. It's ups and downs, and you got to figure stuff out. And that does take time.
And so you've been metabolically unwell for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, And now you've adopted a proper human diet and you're ready for the benefits. Well, guess what? You have abused your body for decades. You've eaten shit for decades. It's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be a few weeks. For some people, they'll notice some benefits in a few weeks. But for the true healing to take a hold and take effect, you've got to take a daily dose of vitamin P. Patience. Give your body time.
Know that you're not going to have vitamin P every day. There are going to be days where you're just pissed off and aggravated and the scale says something that you don't like, and that's normal too.
Yes.
Every day is not a win.
Absolutely.
That's okay.
Here is Harry from Massachusetts. I can say it properly now, even though I'm a redneck. And Chris from Maine. Where are you watching from? What city? What state? What country? What continent? What planet? Just tell me. Marlene, does anyone have good bowel habits on carnivore? Been carnivore for 3 months, last month or so, softer and pellet-like textures. So those are both normal, Marlene. It's normal to have pellets. It's normal to sometimes have soft stool. There's a Bristol scale. There's actually a scale to measure your poop, not to measure it mass-wise, but to gauge, is this normal or not?
There's a whole video Darkberry has about poop.
If your poop is so hard you cannot push it out, that's bad. If your poop is literally explosive liquid, that is bad. Otherwise, anywhere in between is pretty normal to have that for a day or two. It's not a sign that anything's wrong. The vast majority of people on a carnivore diet have good bowel movements.
Now, there are some people who, when they're first coming from keto to carnivore, they may have a few weeks or several weeks where they have some weird things going on with their bowels, but that's temporary and usually goes away as long as there's not some underlying issue.
Yes, somebody was asking who the heck the hot chick is. This is my wife of many years, and even though we've been married a long time, it just feels like yesterday that I tricked her into going on a date with me.
I tricked him.
Well, maybe it was a ninja reverse trick. I'm not sure, but either way, I won, so I'm fine with it. But this is my wife, Neisha Sings. She's a registered nurse. That's who that is. Cup of Sunshine. I like your handle. Should I be afraid to have cataract surgery? Heard so many horror stories. And there are horror stories out there on the internet. The vast majority of feedback post-cataract surgery are good feedback results. I'd say 90-95% of people, if you ask them 6 months after your cataract surgery, are you happy you had this surgery? I think it's 95% positive. Like, heck yes. I'm glad I had this. That's my Superman.
I know. It's like, it made it look like you had a huge gash on your face. I was like, somebody said that, and I was like, no, it really does look like you have a huge wound on your forehead. What? I don't know why it looked like that. He's fine. He does have gashes on his legs.
From time to time, I have gashes. Thank you, Deborah Lee. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, let's see.
Are these not up at the start? That's
different. I see them now. Yeah, there they are. Okay, it's there.
Huzzah! Okay, there we go.
Thank the heavens. I hit the wrong button. Malia, what are your thoughts on EDTA chelation therapy for heavy metals detox, please? Great question. The only chelation therapy that does a damn thing is when you are in a surgical center, hospital, or a doctor's office, and they start an IV and they run EDTA through your veins. There are chelation therapy, that's capsules that you take. This is horse crap. There are foot baths. There's all these different things that claim to be chelation. They are not chelation. They are thieves trying to steal your money, basically. Okay. The only thing that chelation therapy has ever been proven to actually be a benefit is heavy metal poisoning. Now, there was a little research about using EDTA chelation therapy for plaquing in the heart arteries some years back. Not enough research done to really say, yes, definitely that's going to help. But if you have heavy metal poisoning, yeah, you need chelation therapy. But chelation therapy does not mean soaking your feet or taking some capsules or doing any of the other woo-woo horse crap that you do at home. All that's a waste of your money. Good question. Oh, wait. Is it okay? Is it okay, eat raw in?
Is it okay?
You can eat anything raw as long as it's fresh and you trust the source it came from. Anything can be eaten raw.
If you like. But
except
not
vegetables.
Necessary.
If it's veggies, you better cook them.
True.
But if it's meat or any kind of animal product, you can eat it raw. It's fine. If it's fresh, you didn't find it beside the road, don't eat that raw. If you find something beside the road.
Did you respond to him?
Yeah.
About
So
what?
Matt, okay. First of all, let me be very clear. I love Matt Walsh, and I follow him, and I love his take on politics, on social stuff. But he posted on Twitter that it's calories in, calories out. You just need to stop eating donuts and get off the couch, basically.
Why
effectively.
was he talking about that?
I don't know. Somebody must have triggered him, and I answered him very respectfully. I was like, dude, I love you, but this is wrong. It's way more complicated than that, and it's been quite a little ruckus on Twitter with people taking his side and my side. I have great respect for Matt Walsh. I'm a fan, so I'm not trying to be negative in any way, but I would love for him and I to discuss this. So if you're a big fan of Matt Walsh, maybe reach out to him on your social media that you follow him on and say, hey, Matt, Dr. Barry would be a great guest. He's on your side on virtually everything. He just disagrees with you about this one thing, and there's many, many good reasons why I think Matt Walsh is wrong about this one thing. And I'd love to have an opportunity to discuss that with him. Not debate, discuss. Yeah. Everybody had a flare up over that. It's like, no, I love Matt Walsh, but and this is not the Eagle. If any of you guys it's a different, whole another Walsh. It's not that Walsh. But thanks for bringing that up, Randy. Robert, is reheating meat in a microwave bad? I don't think so, unless you just, sometimes I'll be like 30 seconds and it winds up being 30 minutes. That's probably bad for the meat. That probably really mucks up the vitamins. But it doesn't make the meat rancid. It doesn't magically destroy any of the vitamins in the meat. All microwaves do is cause the water molecules in whatever food's in the microwave to vibrate really quickly and produce heat. That's all it does.
You can always use an air fryer. That's what we use in the new house. Yep. I don't even think I'm going to have a microwave. I almost never use it.
We rarely use it.
In fact, it's much more of a pain in the butt than anything because ours specifically, it doesn't work right.
Yeah, we don't love ours. And so we might use the microwave once every other day.
Honestly, for Beckett's science experiments, that's what I use the microwave for.
But I've looked into the microwave thing because you hear that myth out there on the social media a lot. I really looked into it. It doesn't even make physical sense that it does anything magically bad to the food. But a lot of people are Luddites, and I regret using that word because I've read about the Luddites extensively, and I actually agreed with them by a great many things. I think King Lud was a hero of his time. But people who hate technology and who fear technology, they're like, I don't know, that microwave it might do something. No, it doesn't. Come on, it doesn't.
Science ovens.
It's a science oven.
Yeah, there are people who say air fryers are bad too. Like, you can't win these days unless you're cooking on an open fire, and then that also has carcinogens in it. So, like, just eat it raw, I guess.
So Neisha has been a labor and delivery nurse for years, so I'm going to let her chime in on this as well.
Okay.
Have you seen back pain from epidurals resolve?
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so Taylor, there's multiple reasons why you have back pain from your epidural. If it is from your epidural, because labor, depending on how intensive your labor was, and if you had an epidural, you may not even realize how intense your back or your, we call it back labor, was, and it could actually be from your delivery and not the epidural. So the best thing is to have a scan done to make sure there's no like physiological
underlying
problems, right? And then go from there, because you really want to see what the root problem is. Is it something else? Or is it indeed from the epidural? Because women's bodies go through a lot during labor, so it could be something else. It could be the epidural, but you want to rule out everything else too, because it could be nerve pain.
100%, yes.
It could be multiple things.
Pushing another human through your pelvic outlets is hard on your back. And it's not surprising at all that with or without an epidural, you have some back pain.
Not only that, but the positioning that you're put in, especially if you have an epidural by the labor and delivery team, is not optimal.
100% agree. Yes.
And that's not your fault.
Women should be allowed to move during labor.
But listen, I've had a birth with an epidural, and I've had a birth with no medication at all, no pain medication or otherwise. So I'm coming from both sides, right? So, and as a labor and delivery nurse, there's so many things that could have happened to cause you back pain. So I just want you to really nail down what exactly the problem is so you can fix it.
Yep, that's great advice. Miss Infinity, hi from Australia. Would carnivore be good for someone with Ehlers-Danlos, MCAS, and POTS? We actually have several people in our private community with these diagnoses, and they are all slowly but surely, their health is improving, their symptoms are getting less severe, and their mobility is increasing. Their ability to stay upright for longer and longer periods of time is improving. So my answer is yes. And if you'd like to be around a group of people who have these very diagnoses, you can join our private community. We have thousands of people in there who suffer from every malady known to man. And they're all slowly but surely getting better by eating a proper human diet. There's a link in the show notes if you want to join the community. You're welcome to do so. If not, that's fine too. Deborah Lee, do you know anything about alkaline phosphatase? My number came back 136. I'm 61, and plus my iron is down. So an elevated alk phos, it's like the dummy light on your car that just says engine. It tells you something may be wrong, maybe not, but it doesn't tell you what's wrong. And so what you need to ask for is a fractionated alkaline phosphatase. Okay, that's going to break it up into the different fractions. It could be a bone problem. It could be a biliary tract problem. It could be an intestinal problem. It could be a female organ problem. Any of those can make your alk phos high. And so you want to ask for a fractionated alkaline phosphatase, and that'll help you tease out what exactly is going on. Super Rando, I saw your video about keto without a gallbladder. Would the same go for carnivore? Yes. Anything I say about keto is going to go for carnivore and vice versa, because carnivore is a subset of keto, which is a subset of carnivore. I just posted a graphic on all my social media.
We have had multiple versions of this graphic, but I think this one's really good. Dr. Chafee had one that was similar to that. On his
That's what gave me the idea. It was his presentation. And so it goes like this. Low carb is this big circle. Then within that, lower carb is keto. Lower carb than that is ketovore. Lower carb than that is carnivore. And then within carnivore, just ruminant meat, salt, and water is the line diet. And so anything I say about carnivore goes for keto and vice versa, because they're just subsets of each other.
I have a lot of graphics inside the community that go a little deeper. So it's like, but what does that actually look like? And how do I know which one I'm in? We talk about that a lot. And we're going to run another challenge soon. For those of you who keep asking, I promise we're going to bring it back.
Yes. So Tommy wants to know what upcoming carnivore conferences you like. Which ones I'm going to be speaking at or attending?
Let's be clear. Most of the conferences are not carnivore conferences, unless you're going to a retreat with some of they're very intimate, right? Like 20 to 50 people. These are very much just generalized low carb keto with some carnivore thrown in there too. So if you're going to any of these conferences, you're going to hear a variation.
Yeah, which is good.
Which is really good, right? So we have one coming up in August that we will actually be attending in Dixon, Tennessee. You want to pull up the link? The link's in the description.
The link's in the description.
It's low carb for better health. And that, like I said, is in Dixon, Tennessee, which is about a 40-minute drive west of Nashville.
Here it is, right here.
The tickets are, I think, $25. There's still some available. Who else is going to be there? There's a list. If you go to the
Chris
website,
Palmer's going to be there. Neisha, me, gosh, I forgot. Amy Berger. Yep, Amy Berger, and several other really good speakers are going to be there.
Some of our close friends are going to be there.
Absolutely. And then we're also going to be that's in August.
August 23rd and 24th.
And then in October, we're going to be at Ketopalooza.
I got to admit, this is my favorite one.
Yes, it's a great conference. The one in Dixon's really growing on me because it's good people there.
And it's smaller.
It's smaller. And Ketopalooza is a smaller conference. They talk about keto, ketovore, and carnivore.
But they're just so welcoming. Like it doesn't matter if you just started or you've been doing it for 20 years. You have a seat at the table, and they love on you. And
it's like a family reunion. Isn't
it? That's their tag now, because every time they had one, it was like, this is a family reunion. And it's they have a party at the end and karaoke. Really awesome. And I mean, it's just a good time.
Yeah, it's really awesome. So if you want to go to the event in Dixon in August or the event in Louisville, Kentucky in October, links are in the show notes.
We do have a discount code for Ketopalooza. I think it's PHD. Yep. And I think that gets you a little bit off. So.
Absolutely. So my good friend Amanda Decker, she's nurse practitioner in the Dixon, Tennessee area. She's actually the one putting on that conference, and she threatened my physical safety if I did not remind you of the Dixon, Tennessee event. So there you go, Amanda. Please don't hurt me. All right, back to where we were. We did that. Okay, this is from Gino. I got poisoned by gadolinium. Have done 23 rounds of, I think you mean chelation. I have taken a break for 8 weeks and symptoms coming back. You have any suggestions? I eat a proper human diet and continue to follow your doctor's orders. Gadolinium is the contrast media that's used in MRIs. Not all MRIs use gadolinium, but some do. Some people have a reaction to that. I'm not aware that it's actually stored long-term in the body. And so I think that as time goes on, your symptoms should lessen if that's truly what's going on with you. But a proper human diet, a proper human life, and then follow your doctor's recommendations would be my advice to you.
I don't know if we said this, but Keto Palooza is in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I didn't remember.
Thomas, I am eating my meat, about 2 pounds. Yeah, also eggs and other healthy stuff. Do I need to drink 64 ounces of fluids a day? No. P.S. My PSA has dropped from 7.5 to 5.6 after about a year. Yeah, a lot of guys with elevated PSA, they need to see their doctor, but they also need to eat a proper human diet, which is meat-heavy keto or ketovore or carnivore, and they'll see their PSA come down and their BPH symptoms get better. Now, the 64 ounces of fluids. Raise your hand if you believe that drinking more water than you're thirsty for is generally good for your health. Do you believe that right now? Raise your hand. Be honest.
We can't see you.
We can't see you, but I want you to commit and raise your hand. This is not true. I have researched this extensively when I was making my YouTube video about how much water should you drink for weight loss. There is no research that shows that drinking more water than you're thirsty for is good for you in any way. In fact, drinking too much water can be bad for you. It makes your kidneys work harder. It can dilute your electrolytes and your other minerals in your blood. I don't know how this became a lie out there that, oh, you need to drink 7 of these a day or 3 gallons a day or 10 liters a day. That's just horse shit.
It's an easy thing.
It's busy work. It's busy work to keep you busy. Mm-hmm. There's literally no research supports that. None. If you're thirsty, drink water. If you're not thirsty, don't drink water. That's it.
And also, this doesn't get talked about enough. I know you've talked about it a lot, but still, I bet someone in here hasn't heard this, that if you're eating meat, you're drinking water.
Meat, 70% water by weight.
So you're still getting water with your meal as well. So it's not like you know what I mean? You're not having to shove down all that water like you think you are. It's in so much food.
Six Shop says, I can't cook. Why can't you cook? I'm just eating meat. Is it okay if you just start with the meat you can afford? Yes, absolutely. Must I cook it myself? No, not necessarily. That way you can trust it more because you know the ingredients. But
and it's cheaper.
It's cheaper to cook it yourself.
So if your problem is budget, you need to be cooking your own meat. All right, it's
100%.
not hard.
Yep.
There's 100,000 videos on how to cook meat. All these carnivore influencers showing what they're eating in a day. Go get some inspiration. Yep. And it's never that complicated.
Absolutely. And I know I have a video called sorry, let me get my tongue in my teeth. And so cheap keto. I know I have that video, but I think I have a cheap carnivore video as well.
Cheap stuff too.
Neisha's channel, she's got cheap options. You can literally do carnivore with bologna and hot dogs and Spam, if that's all you can currently afford.
True. And also shop the sales. There's always meat on sale. Stick it in the freezer. Expiration dates the next day. Stick it in the freezer.
Yep. If you cannot cook, like let's say you're a quadriplegic and you have to eat out, then just anything they cook on the grill is not going to have anything added unless there's a marinade or they soaked it or something. They're not going to be cooking it in vegetable seed oils. So just ask for a steak off the grill or ask for 100% ground beef hamburger patties off the griddle. That's not going to be cooked in any oil either. That way you're just getting meat.
Also, you can get the patties already made out. So you can buy them at Costco in bulk. They're frozen, all beef, 100%. I know Laura Spath, she does Costco shops all the time, and she eats budget-friendly stuff. She eats a lot of chicken wings, super easy to make in the air fryer or the oven. Hamburgers, meatballs. I mean, what do you got, honey? What's going on over here? Lily.
I don't know what she had. Yeah, so it absolutely you can do cheap carnivore. You don't have to buy a $30 a pound panda massaged ribeye from the Himalayas. You don't need that. Okay, here's a good one about my buddy Paul Saladino from Tim. Cited studies sounded convincing, says low, no carb cause deficiency. Yeah, I've read all the research that he cited. None of that research proves anything whatsoever. Okay. I know Paul added back fruit and honey and raw dairy. I don't necessarily think that raw dairy is bad for you if it's from a reputable source and it's fresh. Honey is just pure sugar. Eating fruit is significantly less bad than drinking fruit juice, which is just as bad as drinking a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi. But there's no benefits to adding these things. The thing that my friend, I consider Paul a friend, we've been doing lives together for years, and we've actually talked about this on live interviews I've done on this YouTube channel. Honey is just pure sugar. There's nothing magic about honey. There's no magic. I don't care if you paid $50 an ounce for Manuka honey.
I mean, besides how it's
just
made,
sugar
that
and
is
water.
quite magical. Honeybees are amazing.
They are, absolutely. And we love honeybees. We're going to get some for the farm here. Not for the honey, but for the pollination.
For the environment.
100%, yes. But the honey that's bee food. That's not, there's nothing magical about that. There's nothing magical about bee pollen or beeswax. I used to believe all this back when I had terrible allergies being caused by drinking lots of dairy and eating lots of grains. When I quit both those things, magically, I didn't need the honey or the pollen anymore because they never helped me anyway. I love the taste of honey. Let me be very clear about that. I love the taste of fruit. I love drinking milk. I grew up drinking a gallon of milk a day when I was in high school. But if I did those things now, I would be 50 pounds heavier and my A1C would be elevated. Not everybody can eat the diet that my good friend, Dr. Saladino, eats.
Also, most of y'all are not doing the activity level that old Saladino's doing. Okay,
Yeah.
Like he
Keep
is
in mind,
a fit bro.
Yes, Paul was never obese. I
Right.
was severely obese. Paul had a skin condition. That's why he went carnivore initially. And so it's very possible that he can control his skin condition by eating a meat-heavy diet plus some fruit, honey, and raw dairy. That's entirely possible. But if you fatten easily, if you develop prediabetes easily, if you get hypertension easily, if you develop metabolic syndrome easily, Paul's recommendations are not going to serve you well. Here's the main problem. The majority of sugar, not all the sugar in honey and fruit, is fructose. That's the majority. A1C, fructosamine, and glycated albumin, none of these tests check for fructose glycation. They only check for glucose glycation. Okay, so you can and then also fructose is 7 to 10 times more glycating than glucose. And so you can have severe disease-causing glycation and have a normal A1C if you're eating lots of fruit and honey. That's the problem. And some people in the carnivore community think that all this fructose and glycation will make you age faster. I don't know if we've proven that to be true or not, but I'm not a fan of lots of fruit and honey theory. And I don't practice that in real life. I hope that helps. Hey, here's Tuto. Tuto, massive salutes.
Hey,
And respect times two, Dr. Ken and fam, greetings from Princeton, Jersey. My entire rugby club in Italy follow your channel religiously, and we've been getting massive results with your diet recommendations. I love it, Tuto. Reach out to me on Instagram, Tuto. I'd love to.
I mean, he commented that an hour ago, probably. So.
Yeah. I know, Tuto, but just if you're still watching, hopefully you're in bed. Well, no, you're in Jersey right now, so you're fine. But yell at me on Instagram. Heather, I'm switching from a super low calorie to carnivore. A1C is 9.8. Yeah, even with low calorie, look how terrible Heather's A1C is right now. Worried about gaining weight and worried about my A1C. If you eat strict carnivore for 90 days, your A1C will come down from 9.8 to about 7.0.
Depending on what medications you're on.
Then another 3 months, you'll have almost a normal A1C within 6 months. You may gain some weight initially, but if you're overweight right now or obese, ultimately you're going to lose weight on carnivore. Okay, I'm 48, 5'7", and need to lose 50 to 60 pounds. You may gain 5 or 10 to start with, but ultimately you're going to lose 40 or 50 pounds. very overwhelmed as docs want me on so many meds. I totally get it. This is part of my problem with doctors. They don't want to talk about diet. They just want to talk about prescriptions. And I think that there was a time and a place for that back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But now in 2024, the days of a doctor just basically being a robot with a prescription pad they're over. And if doctors don't wake up and realize that they can be completely and totally replaced by artificial intelligence. If all you do is listen to a patient talk and then you write them a prescription, guess what, my friend? A computer can do that.
That's an algorithm.
That's an algorithm. That you're following algorithmic medicine. Your beating heart is not needed for that. And so all doctors out there, you better start learning about nutrition, and you better start learning about lifestyle and reading the research behind that, because I predict within 3 to 5 years, if you're just a prescription writer, you will be unemployed. So you better wake up. If you have a doctor in your family, you might want to share this part of the video with them, because AI is coming for everybody that just does an algorithmic job. If this, then that.
Heather, I want to say this before we get too far off base here. Okay. I would really strongly recommend you get a CGM, so that you can really see what foods are affecting your glucose, right?
Yep.
Because if you're going carnivore, that's great, but you still need to keep an eye on that.
Yep.
Just in case.
To help verify. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe talk to your doctor. This should be covered because you check all the boxes.
Oh, yeah, your severe diabetes.
Right.
Yeah.
Those can really be helpful when
Yes,
you're figuring
absolutely.
out your way.
And ask your doctor politely at first, but then persistently, if polite doesn't work, for every 3 months, please check my A1C, my fasting insulin, my lipid panel, and my HSCRP. And you can go back and watch this again if you didn't get that written down.
Thank you, Coach Alyssa. CGM means continuous glucose monitor. I always assume people know what I'm saying when I use acronyms. They don't.
Curried Texan, as a carnivore, should I be worried about cattle being vaccinated with mRNA? To the best of my knowledge, there is no beef on the market currently in the United States that has received mRNA vaccines. Keep in mind, nobody's proven that if a cow gets an mRNA vaccine, that in any way affects the meat. Nobody's proven that. We don't know that for a fact yet. I would prefer all the beef and mutton that I eat to not have mRNA vaccines, but nobody knows if that's actually bad or not. More research is needed on that. But currently, there is none in the food supply to my knowledge. And this is yet another reason why I recommend you find a local rancher. I guarantee you, Curried Texan, especially in Texas, within a 1-hour drive of you, there's 2 or 3 little small ranches that will happily sell you an eighth of a beef, a quarter beef, a half beef, or a whole beef. You can fill up your deep freeze. And you saw that cow out in the field eating grass. You can ask the rancher, somebody who you can put your hands on if they mislead you, right? That's the way rednecks and Texans and Tennesseans, that's the way we look at stuff. If you lie to me, I'm going to put my hands on you, especially when it comes to me feeding my family. That rancher's not going to lie to you because you know them. You have a personal relationship, right? So buy from a local rancher and you don't have to worry about this. Riley's Lullaby. When I first started carnivore, is it normal to have an elevated BP? Maybe for a week or two, but what we see in the vast majority of people eating real whole food keto or ketovore or carnivore is that their blood pressure starts to return to normal. My current blood pressure, says Riley's Lullaby, seems to be pushing 130/40, which is completely normal, and 83 to 88 on the bottom. Anything under 85 is normal on the bottom. Okay. The American Academy of Family Physicians still says this. The American Heart Association now says, oh, it's got to be under 120 and under 80, or you've got hypertension. This is not supported by research. That's why the American Academy of Family Physicians and many other regulatory bodies don't say that. It's because there's no research to support it.
Also, you're only 1 weekend.
That's right.
early days.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Salt your food to taste. If you're eating low carb enough, added salt does not raise your blood pressure at all. You're on the right track. You found your proper human diet. Now have some vitamin P and stick with it. Mark, 3 weeks into carnivore, transitioning from keto after 2 years, 62-year-old. Will this lifestyle heal neuropathy? So most people on real whole food keto, I have to say that because of all the keto treats and junk. If it says keto on the label, it's not keto. Okay. Keto is meat and low carb veg. That's what keto is. So keto, ketovore, carnivore is going to help slowly make your neuropathy less severe. I think out of all those, all the proper human diet spectrum, carnivore is going to improve your neuropathy the quickest because it's the lowest in carbohydrates. It's going to give those small fiber neurons a chance to regrow. It's going to help you regrow myelin sheath.
That takes a long time.
It takes months.
Nerve
It takes
cells,
months. Yes. Yeah.
They're not quickly.
So again, vitamin P, it's not going to happen overnight.
And it may only get better. It may not go completely away.
Also true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Keep that in mind.
Michelle, what brand of air fryer do you have, please? Sending all good vibes from Ontario, Canada.
Currently, we have a Cuisinart digital. It has a digital screen on it. There's several different versions of that. Maria Emmerich's the one who told me about this one. I got it on her recommendation. But I have seen Green Pan, which are the pans that I use, ceramic. They just came out one, and it's supposed to be, because the concern is that the linings and stuff like that, and the Green Pan one is supposed to be, chemical free and easier to clean and all the things. So I'm researching getting one from Green Pan.
Gotcha. Zangirl, BP has been high, 145 over 94, even at home. Now that is high blood pressure. Doc wants me to start a pill. Will it hurt to exercise and start proper human diet instead? I'm 49 years old and a female. Absolutely. Start either real whole food keto or ketovore carnivore, and tell your doc, say, look, I'm going to try diet and exercise for 90 days. If that's okay with you before I start a pill. If you phrase it like that, the vast majority of doctors are going to say, oh yeah, do that. Yes, please. Come back and see me in 90 days and record your blood pressure at home, and then bring that back with you. And I hope you can do it with diet and exercise. Any good doctor is going to say that. A bad doctor will say, no, I need to write you a prescription because I'm a robot and I practice algorithmic medicine and I'll soon be replaced by AI. Okay. If your doctor says that, you need a new doctor. But any doctor is going to give you 90 days and says, because yours is not like, oh my God, high. It's just a little high. Yes. And so you need to first watch my video about how to check your blood pressure properly, because most doctors' offices do not do it properly. And that can make it 10 to 20 points higher than it actually is, can make it falsely high. So watch that video, buy a good quality blood pressure cuff. There's a link in that video to a good one you can trust. Make sure your cuff is the right size. There's lots of things involved with checking blood pressure. Okay. Start a proper human diet. And then I want you to start increasing your exercise frequency and intensity. And everybody says, well, what should I do? How should I get started? Here's the best way I can explain it to you. At the end of a month from now, 30 days from now, you need to be faster than you were before and stronger than you were before. So if you literally were a couch potato, if you were like one of the people from Wall-E, remember that movie? Wall-E. Remember they just sat in the chair and sucked on the Route 44 and right. If you're that guy, then in a month from today, you're going to be out of that chair more often, much more often, and you're going to be moving more often, and you're going to be doing some kind of strength training, even if it's just lifting your phone 20 times. That's strength training. Okay. Now, if you're starting from a better place, then of course, so at the end of the month, you're going to be stronger and faster. Do that for 3 months and check that blood pressure properly. And you're going to, your blood pressure, I'm telling you right now, it will be stone cold normal. Within 90 days, you will not need a pill.
Lily is so needed tonight.
And give us an update. You want to hop up here and say hi?
She already did.
Oh, she did? Oh, I didn't even see her.
Right here.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Stuart, very much.
Hey, before we get to the next question, all of you in the chat, thank you so much for being here. Please hit the thumb, leave a comment, and share this with a friend, because when you share it, it means something. They know you, right? If we just pop up on their feed, they're like, who are these two idiots? Yeah. But if you're sharing it, you're like, hey, I know you've got some health issues you're wanting to resolve. Go have a listen to this while you're doing the dishes. I think you would really enjoy this information. It could help you out. That right there is going to make so much difference in their lives, more than we ever could. You guys have all the power. We're just sitting here in two chairs doing the best that we can.
That's right. And always, as always, you are completely welcome. If our videos, if a proper human diet has improved your health, you are welcome to tell your story in the comments. People read these comments. People who are sick, who are searching, who are like, I don't know, is this redneck from Tennessee? Does he know what the hell he's talking about? Is he even a real doctor? Does he even have a license? That's fine. I don't care if people say that. But when they see your comment and you have it, you had exactly what they currently have. whether it's fatty liver, diabetes, hypertension, metabolic syndrome, whatever. And now it's better. They're going to be like, huh, okay, I'll try this. That's literally all it takes for you to save the life of somebody you have never met.
I really think more people get value from these live streams from the comment section.
Yep.
I really do.
Especially if they're searching.
Yes.
If they're like, damn it, I got to do something.
Yeah.
They're looking. Your story could be the thing that just changes the world.
So always feel free to
Yes.
share your success story, a win, anything positive, and how you got there, how long it took you. So people, they see that it does take time, and that's okay. And
people want to hear from real people, and I totally get that. I love that. This is from Dirk. Hi, Dr. Ken and Nurse Neisha. I have a first-time coronary artery calcium score of 675, and my FP wants me to go on a statin. However, my triglyceride to HDL ratio is 0.82. I'm very reluctant to go on a statin. I don't blame you. I've got hours of video on my YouTube channel where I interview experts in the field about HDL cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, total cholesterol, triglycerides, all that stuff. We talk about that at length. And if your ratio is that good and your A1C is normal and your fasting insulin is normal and your HSCRP is normal, you're probably not going to benefit from that statin whatsoever. But I want you to keep researching, keep learning, keep watching, and make your own decision ultimately. A good compromise for people is if you don't want to take a statin, and then I'd highly advise you not to take Repatha or Praluent, the PCSK9 inhibitors. Please don't take those. A good compromise, if you love your doctor and want to keep them, or your spouse is yelling at you about your high cholesterol, tell them you'll take a low dose of Zetia, Z-E-T-I-A. It's not a statin. It's also not a PCSK9 inhibitor. It also, the research shows it effectively doesn't do anything, but it'll shut your spouse up because you're taking something for your cholesterol, and your doctor will be able to notate in the chart, I did something for this patient, and that makes most doctors much more comfortable. They'll say he doesn't denied a statin and denied Repatha, but he did agree to take Zetia, and he's going to take that. And then if you forget to take your Zetia a few days a week, who's going to know? Just a thought. Hey, thank you, Stuart, very much. We already got that. Twisted sock. I like that.
My wife has been doing carnivore for 6 months now. I'm trying it now, but sugar addiction is a big hurdle for me.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips
that
will help?
We have several tips. Twisted sock. Pause this video right now. Get up and go to your kitchen. And everything that's in your kitchen that is junk, liquid or solid, in the fridge or in the pantry, if you're truly serious about this, throw it in the garbage right now.
Changing your environment is the easiest, fastest way to make your pain point for reaching for those things that higher. So when you are craving it, what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to get in the car and have to run down to the store and grab that thing, right? So change your environment. That's step one.
When somebody goes to drug rehab, and sugar addiction for some people is just as powerful as a drug addiction, the advice they give them is don't keep the drugs in your house.
Right. You wouldn't let them do that.
And find new friends who are not drug users.
Yes.
That's the advice. And that's the advice that's going to give you the best chance of success. So if you had recovered from cocaine and you're like, well, I'm trying to, fight the cocaine addiction. I've got some in the medicine cabinet, but I'm trying to, you'd be like, what? Get the cocaine out of your house. What's wrong with you? Same goes for the junk. Throw it away.
Sounds simple, but most people don't do that step. They skip right over that, and then they're wondering why they keep going to the cabinet and getting that stuff out.
It's in a moment of weakness, a moment of stress.
That's going to come.
You're pissed off. You're tired. And guess what? That happens to all of us. Yeah. You're going to go get the sugar. That's going to happen. But what Neisha said, you got to get in the car and drive to the store. Or you got a DoorDash, and then your spouse is going to be like,
pay a lot of money.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Right.
So make that pain point it's got to be as painful as possible to get to those type of things.
Make it hard to fail.
Yes. Also, though, I would like to point out, this is something I feel like people always do, is they make it hard. Eat the foods you love. Don't try to step out of your comfort zone and be like, well, I'll eat some liver. Dr. Gray said I needed to. Right. That can come later.
That's
okay?
Right.
Eat the foods you like. If you like ribeye, go get you some ribeye. If you like ground beef, do that. If you like burgers, do that. If you want to add cheese to stuff for the first 3 or 6 months, do that. You
Full
can take
fat,
it out
fully
later,
fermented.
Right? do the simplest version that you are going to be okay doing.
Yeah,
if it's too
that's
hard
great
and you
advice.
hate it,
That's great
you're not
advice.
going to stick to it.
Yes.
So eat the foods that you like, do what you can to sustain it
Yep.
till you get to that next step.
Yep.
You don't have to go full guns ahead. You can. A lot
Yep.
of people do, but you don't have to.
One final piece of advice. I love it that you're aware that you're a sugar addict. Now, another thing they teach people in drug rehab is you need to tell everybody that matters to you, friends and family, that you have an addiction. And then that the reason is they will go out of their way to protect you. So don't tell people, oh, I'm keto, I'm carnivore. They'll go out of their way to try to tempt you. Say, I have a sugar addiction, and I've been talking to my wife and my doctor, or my spouse and my doctor about this, and they said to tell you I have a sugar addiction, and please to protect me. Don't offer me dessert. Don't do that.
Do this, but I'm going to tell you a hack here. All right, humans, we're all very simple. All right, we follow the same patterns all the time. If somebody starts talking to you about that, here's the easiest way to get out of that conversation. Ask them a question about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. They much rather be talking about themselves than talking about you. So if you know that they just went on a vacation, you go ask him all about that vacation. And they're going to forget they even brought that subject up, okay? And then you get to move on with your life and do what you need to do. They love to talk about themselves. Just change the subject to them. They love it.
Yep. Howdy. Carnivore over a year. Labs came back. Everything was great except my anion gap was low. Doctor says nothing to worry about. Your thoughts? I agree with your doctor. In a venous sample, and if you're feeling well, anion gap is irrelevant. Totally agree. Would dextrose drip prevent autophagy? Dextrose is glucose. It is sugar. If you're on a dextrose drip, it will slow down your rate of autophagy for the length of time that you're on the drip. Hospital said wanted to prevent low blood sugar. And a lot of this is the old way of practicing medicine. This is that algorithmic way. All these people are going to be replaced by AI if they don't wake up. Okay, so you can ask for a drip that does not contain dextrose or glucose.
But they're stating that the intervention is done to prevent low blood sugar. Were you not eating?
Well, what they're doing is they're giving them a high carb diet and the dextrose drip. That gives them high blood sugar. Then they're going to give them insulin.
Right, but
on
why
the sliding scale.
Ask them to work that through. Be like, why do you think I'm going to have low blood sugar? I'm eating.
Yeah,
what's
I'm eating food.
What's the problem here? So
because they're going to try to give you insulin if your blood sugar is above a certain level. But if your blood sugar doesn't go above that level, you don't need insulin. Therefore, you don't need the dextrose drip. This is literally giving you poison and then giving you the injection of the antidote.
Also, most people don't know this, but you have all the power. I don't care where you are in a hospital.
Unless you're in prison.
You still have the power to say no to medications in a prison.
Really?
Unless you're deemed psychotic and then you give them Ativan or something like that. Hospital, clinic, nursing home, anywhere like that, unless you're under psychiatric evaluation and you've been put there under, that's
against
probably
your will.
Most of you aren't dealing with that, right? You just say, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I'm not taking that.
Yeah.
And if you have to rip out the IV, then you can. I mean, that's a little extreme, but that's your right as a patient. You get that piece of paper. It has your patient rights. You don't have to take a thing.
You're not under arrest if you're in the hospital. Okay. You still have all of your rights, and just say, I do not want dextrose in my drip. And they have to honor that. And if they lie to you and say, okay, and then give it to you anyway, that's a legal problem for them. And so say, please note in my chart, I do not want any IVs that have sugar in them unless you can tell me a medical indication why I need that.
And then you still have a right to refuse it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's a great point. Peggy, wrong button. Peggy, question. Doctor fought me today about fiber. Said humans have always eaten fiber. This is probably true to some degree. It is required for health. This is absolutely false. Please help. So when you see your doctor again, Peggy, say, I was thinking about that fiber thing. I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos, read some articles. Could you please show me the research that proves that fiber is required for good health? And I know you're busy. Just have your nurse email it to me whenever you think about it. You will never get that email because there is no research that proves it.
Also, they're lazy and not going to do that.
That's right. You'll never get that email. And then next time you go back and say, well, you must not have found that research because you never sent me an email. So I'm going to assume you were just wrong about that. Your doctor's well-meaning now. They're not trying to trick you. They believe this in their heart of hearts. They're just currently ignorant when it comes to fiber. There are multiple societies that have been documented in archaeology who have eaten zero fiber for decades and lived great, healthy, prosperous lives. There is no need for fiber. Fiber is not a required, it's not an essential nutrient. If it were, the National Institutes of Health would come out with an article and say, it is now this is an essential nutrient. You don't make fiber, therefore you must eat it or you will die. They have statements like that about magnesium. If you don't get magnesium in your diet, you'll die.
I mean,
iodine, many things like that, and they have documents on that. There is no such document for fiber.
Now, there are many doctors like Lustig that say fiber is essential.
Who
now,
I have great respect for.
You can find a study to support anything. I can find a study that says you should drink your urine, okay?
Yes.
I'm not kidding.
Yes,
that is not a
true.
joke. That's out
true.
there. You can find
But
that.
Don't do that.
No, don't do that. But I guarantee you
There's a study.
100%. Because there are people doing it.
Yep.
But the point is, like, you have to dive deep and figure out what makes the most common sense. Like, why would we need fiber?
Yep.
What is it doing exactly? And here's all these N of ones who aren't eating fiber, and they seem to do okay. Maybe I try no fiber, and we see how it goes, right? You have to take on that responsibility, try it for yourself, and come to your own conclusions, because at the end of the day, you can find anybody saying anything to support any diet and make you feel like, I don't know what's right because he said this and she said that, and there's a study and this, that, and the other.
And I'll tell you this, Peggy, I was talking to Dr. Sean Baker about this the other day, another prominent carnivore friendly doctor. And he and I talked about this, and our good faith estimate is that currently all around the world, there's at least 1 million people eating a carnivore diet right now. That's a zero fiber diet. But all these people are getting healthier. They're losing weight. And so especially if you have Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, or IBD or IBS, you 100% need to be eating a zero fiber diet. It's going to put your gut issue in remission. Okay. So I'm not completely anti-fiber. If somebody's eating keto and they want to eat some low carb, fibrous veggies, for most people, that's fine. And I'm not opposed to that. But you don't need fiber. That's the myth. Now, I don't think fiber is necessarily bad for 70 or 80% of people. Some people, it's going to cause a flare-up of your gut issues. Most people can eat some fiber. It's fine. I don't think it's bad. It's just not required. It's not mandatory. That's bullshit. It's just not true. Carl TP. What does TP stand for?
Toilet paper.
It makes me think of Beavis and Butthead. I need TP for my bunghole. Sorry. Carnivore 1 year in July. The first 6 months felt amazing. Now I feel tired. Sleep is poor. I feel like I need a reset. Maybe with little food choices outside carnivore over time. Maybe. I don't know if how often you're cheating on carnivore. If you're like, no, I'm not. I'm strict carnivore. Maybe you need to go back to Ketovore.
He said that he's made a few choices outside of carnivore, and that's caught up with him, perhaps. Maybe.
And so if you say, hey, I've eaten off carnivore menu a little bit, if what you meant by that was you're eating honey buns and eclairs and drinking beer, then that's probably what's causing it. But if you're like, I had some cashews and I had some some onion and some Brussels sprouts, that's probably not causing it. So
also look outside of food. Like, are you going 100%. Through a huge life change?
100%.
Did you get new responsibilities?
Yep.
Is your wife pregnant?
Stress, drama, trauma.
Those things matter.
Is your wife leaving you? Is your wife leaving you while pregnant?
Are you going through financial struggles? Like, take that stuff into consideration. It matters.
Yep. How's your sleep? How's your lifestyle? Are you getting morning sun on your face every morning? Yeah. Are you exercising every day? I don't know these answers, but you do. It may have nothing to do with the diet, or it may be that carnivore is not for you. You may need Ketovore or keto, or even low carb. I don't know. You may need the Paul Saladino low carb, where you eat lots of meat, but also 50 or 100 grams a day of fruits.
Probably not.
It's probably not that, but it could be. I don't know. Experiment and find out, and give us an update.
Also, if you have a lot of people, when they do carnivore over a long period of time, they start dropping their fat without realizing it. So
100%.
Have you been eating a lot of seafood? Usually seafood's low in fat, unless you're dunking it in butter. Chicken is lower in fat. Take that into consideration. Are you getting enough salt in there? Just take a
I have to do this
refresher
because as I'm carnivore, I'll just eat less and less fat, and it's not by design; it's just accidentally. Mm-hmm. And my good friend Amber O'Hearn is the same exact way. And she does high-fat carnivore for mental health. And she'll notice that something's not right. And she looks at her diet. She's like, I'm not eating enough fat again. And I have to go out of my way to add fat to my carnivore, or I won't get enough fat. She's the same way. You may be the same way. So that's a whole bunch of things you can experiment with and figure out what's what.
All right. Last question.
Scott, I'm down 35 pounds and off blood pressure meds, statins, and omeprazole.
Awesome.
Wife is type 2, down 15 pounds and off diabetic meds. Make sure she's checking an A1C every 3 months. Sugar dropping too low. Do you have any recommendations? First of all, what do you mean by too low? Are you checking her blood sugar? Because a lot of people say, oh, my blood sugar is low, but they don't check it. It can be any number of things causing those symptoms.
Is she symptomatic, or is the number just lower than it normally reads?
Right.
And she still feels fine, but that's a scary number because it used to mean something really bad.
That's right. As long as her blood sugar is above 60, there's zero danger. Okay. But a lot of diabetics, type 2 and type 1, if they're used to their blood sugar running 250 all the time, if their blood sugar gets down to 90, which is perfectly healthy, it's perfect actually, they'll have low blood sugar symptoms. So you need to be checking her blood sugar when she has these symptoms and realize anything above 60 is completely normal and healthy and fine. She's in no danger whatsoever.
Right. And monitor those symptoms and what she ate beforehand. Like, just pay attention.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you this. You may not know this. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central, we're going to be doing a live Q&A just like this, but it's going to be inside of our private community. There's a link in the show notes. If you didn't get enough tonight, you can join up with thousands of people just like you looking for their best health and looking at a proper human diet to be the 80% of that solution. That's what happens in our community. So I'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central inside the group. Or if you don't want to do that, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Do we love them and mean it?
Love